Welcome to Scoop World Order. Happy Friday. I hope you guys had a great week. Welcome to the weekend. A lot of great sporting events going on. NHL, NBA playoffs. We're going to talk about a superstar running back from the state of Ohio whose three final visits are Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia. That is as good as it gets. And why he's a huge Ohio State lean. We're going to get into it. We're going to break down his film a little bit. We're going to take your questions as well. As always, we appreciate you guys for kicking with it with us each and every night. I hope you guys had a great week. Again, I hope you have a great weekend. It is great to be here. It is also great to have you guys here. As always, we appreciate you guys. This will be a huge show because you guys make it one. So thank you for all you do for BuckeyeScoop.com. The message board has been absolutely crazy the last few weeks, so we appreciate you guys all that have subscribed. Thank you to our new Pay It Forward members, especially one given to us by one of our Wrench brothers, Devin, one of your friends from Tallahassee, is one of our newest Paid Forward members. So we appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much for recommending us to him. Fantastic person. You know who you are. You can recognize yourself in the chat, but I don't want to put your name out there unless you want that. But Devin, I hope you're feeling better. You are the best. I appreciate you, brother, as always. With that being said, if you guys enjoy the content and you enjoy BuckeyeScoop.com, ways you can help us grow, please subscribe to the channel. Click the like button. Also, click that little alert bell. That alert bell will go off every time we go live. We're a little bit early today. We got some kids' sports to take care of, so we're going to get out here a little bit earlier. We'll still give you guys a good solid hour before we roll. So again, we appreciate you guys for kicking with us each and every night, and I hope you guys had a great week. That being said, Nevada, good week for the Buckeyes. They've got 2 more weeks off. This is the longest break, I think, in Ohio State history, at least since like modern football started in the last 30 years. Again, back in the olden days, like 70s, 80s, that type of time, these guys used to go home for the entire summers. That hasn't been the case since the 90s. Kids in major college football have to stay on campus year round. They train. The conditioning in the summer sucks. It's brutal. It's the hottest time of the year. And it's the most running you do all year during the summer. So 3 weeks off is going to be very interesting to see how disciplined these kids are. Because frankly, if I had 3 weeks off and I was on the team, I wouldn't go anywhere. I'd be working out the Woody Hayes every day, making sure to get my miles in, make sure to get my running in, especially the running, because that's the thing where when these guys get back after 3 weeks, Mickey Murati's going to turn up pretty good on them and make sure these guys have been doing their workouts. And the guys that aren't working out, the guys that are just kicking it, partying, enjoying the lifestyle, it's not going to be pretty when you get back to summer conditioning, especially for the guys that are the early entrant high school guys, and the guys that maybe weren't even here as early entrants, the guys that are coming in June. I think it's going to be very interesting. Nevada, what are the pros and cons to you? Because something that's interesting that Ryan Day found out is that Alabama had generally given their kids an entire month off. Obviously, Caleb Downs here. We have a bunch of Alabama kids that just came from the state of Alabama. Also, we have a coach who works for Mark Pantoni who came from Alabama, not an on-the-field coach, but, a personnel person. And they talked about how they had a month off. And so Ryan gave these guys the longest break, easily the longest break he's ever given, longer than anything Urban or Jim Tressel ever did. What are the pros and cons to that to you? And again, do you think that this will help when the season has gotten that much longer?
Well, look, when you've got somebody like Saban who's been insanely successful at what he's doing and is successful at a sustained rate and at a rate that nobody, frankly, in the modern era has even come close to doing, I think you have to look at everything they're doing in the light of why might this be better? Why might this be an enhancement or an improvement? And as this was explained to me, that Saban's belief, the Alabama belief, was that mental fatigue was a big deal for these players, as much as they focus on the physical training and the year-round physical fitness regimen and nutritional regimen and everything else, that the mental fatigue was really a big issue, and that giving them a chance to truly decompress, to have a sustained period of time where they could actually decompress and be away from it, they felt was a positive thing. And it's interesting to me to see Day, approaching it that way. Clearly, Day's taking Ohio State, ascending into that void filled by by Nick Saban leaving Alabama, and he's going to adopt as many of the practices, as many of the little nuances as he can. And I look, this one will be judged in hindsight. If we come out and win the national championship, this will be, or and have a great year. This is what a great idea. And if we don't, then everybody will blame the month off. And why do we do that? And it's because we're lazy. But I think it's a good thing. I just know with young people in sports or whomever, whatever you want to call them, you know, it's a grind. These guys have been going at it for most of their adult lives, most of their lives, and without a break, without any type of sustained break. And I just think it's a good thing to have. I mean, it's kind of like when you were there. I'm sure they gave you some like make work job where they would stuff your pockets full of money when you were at Ohio State and you kept like alligators out of the gym or something like that. And so we're just kind of bringing back the good old days of Ohio State football. These guys would go out there and I'm sure they're painting fences or digging ditches or harvesting oranges or apples or something like that down at the orchard, and not just heading down to like Aruba or some Caribbean island that we haven't heard from before. But regardless, I think I'm 3 weeks away. It sounds kind of crazy, but I'm sure they'll come back mentally refreshed and ready to go. And I'm excited to see how they come firing when they get back. But it's definitely going to take some getting used to.
Is it keeping alligators out of the gym? What does that even mean?
Yeah,
is that one of the things? Is that one of the things?
You didn't do
keeping
that.
Alligators in Ohio? The 7 alligators that are in Ohio that are in some exotic rich guy's house or in
that was the old point of the make work job. It's like, hey, I get paid to keep alligators out of the gym. It's like, there's alligators in the gym. He goes, have you ever seen an alligator in our gym? He goes, nope. Okay, that's why I get paid.
He's doing great. Yeah.
He's doing a great job.
Keep polar bears out of the Everglades or something. Just make sure that there's no polar bears in the Everglades. Kirk's doing a great job. He's getting promoted. Executive polar bear plunger.
The statute of limitations has run out now, so now you can tell about all the times you had your pockets kind of loaded.
Do you want to know what my summer job was? Do you know what my summer job was?
Let's tell us about it, Kirk. What was your summer job?
All right, so I worked for a company called Hill Distributing. Hill Distributing was a beer distributor. They used to sell imported beers, and this was in 04, 05. And imported beers, like, it was nothing like today. I mean that has they owned the market in Columbus for every Corona, every Heineken. If you drank one in Columbus at that time, it was coming from Hill Distributing. So it wasn't like now where there's 800 million different beers and microbreweries and all these other Elvis juices and all these other deals that are all around Ohio. But like, I would get paid to stack cases of beer on forklift flats. And I did that every summer. And it was a great job because I could clock in. Now, mind you, I got paid for what I actually did. I didn't get this wasn't like the show up and get greased for, hours and hours and hours. And, really you worked for 1 hour. It's like, no, like it was a good job because I could come and go. I could take the day off if I wanted to, but I would clock in, punch my card, and then I'd clock out, punch my card, and whatever like I made. And then after I did that for 2 summers, I figured out that, if I just go to class and become a full-time student, you make more money. You make more money as a full-time student because you get twice as many scholarship checks. You get 10 checks instead of 5 checks. So I was done with that. I was like, I should have just did that every year and I'd have got my degree done quicker like Parrish Johnson did. But no, my job was not fun. The people I worked with were great. The company was great. They sold to Heidelberg, so they don't exist anymore. It was a great family. But yeah, it was hilarious because like people were like, oh yeah, you probably have some cushion. I was like, dude, it was hot in that warehouse. And before any major event that was associated with drinking, like Cinco de Mayo, the Memorial, 4th of July. I mean, the guys that worked there, like for real, that were union guys, those guys were working like 20 straight hours, stacking forklift. I mean, it was insane how much they did leading up to the big drinking holidays, but it was a good gig. Was it something that did it make me realize that everyone to do manual labor again? Yeah. But it was like, it was a real gig. Like there were a bunch of guys like Stepanovich did it at Columbus Distributing. Like that was like a job that the linemen did. We'd go load up beer onto forklift flats. So it was mindless. It was fun. It wasn't hard. It wasn't something like I put on my resume, but it wasn't bad. But now like you don't have to do that. Now these kids just get free money. So it's like they don't even have to work anymore. So I used to do it for beer money and I could get some free beer out of there. They'd like let me take a case home every now and again. So that was fine. That was part of my stipend. So, but that was good. Again, it was a good time. Again, I miss the days of these kids being dirt poor in college because I think it makes you more frugal. It makes you smart. It makes you, like you're drinking draft beer and like I liked the experience of being a poor college kid. I think that that's something that's important to go through in life. Like I think that it's fun to be, kind of broke and thrifty and counting the, the change in your, tray to get a pizza and that kind of stuff. Like I think that that's cool. I don't miss those days, but these kids now, I'm just like, Jesus, guys, you guys don't even have to like do anything. You don't have to like think anymore. Like back then it was like, well, I got $20 and let's stretch that out for the night and go have a time. And like, I had just as much fun as these kids did. I mean, everything was just as good. It was a little different. So I don't know. Like, again, I'm not like the old day guy, but we have this thread on BuckeyeScoop.com this year. It talks about the old Ohio State bars, and these guys all talk about Papa Joe's, and they talk about, it was $1 for a barrel of beer or whatever. And I'm just like, those are the days that don't exist anymore because now it just like that's just not how it is. Everything's corporate. And I do miss the old Ohio State campus just because, it had more charm. It wasn't a Target and a bunch of cookie cutter commercialized apartment complexes and bars and soulless, empires that are all over High Street now. It used to be like these little dingy bars, and I thought those were great, And again, I know there's could be a lot of old heads that are Ohio State fans that'll put in the comments, and in the comments right now, put what your favorite bars were on campus because there was Alcatraz, Old School, Bento Go-Go, Paninis. I mean, for some of you guys that are like around my age, you guys are like, oh yeah, those were the spots, and like Little Bar's gone now. Beer Soup is like officially gone now. So Soup was like the last one hanging on, man. That little armpit. They're going to build like a giant, the largest, I think like the largest, whatever, something apartment or condo thing or whatever. And I got another soulless building taking up High Street, but the real estate's just too valuable to have like a little dingy pub like Beer Stoop there. So the Megatrons showed up and blasted it, and they're going to be building a new building. So Nevada, Bo Jackson is going to be nasty. We're going to get into his film in a second. He's probably going to be one of at least two running backs in this class. He's from Villange, St. Joseph in Cleveland. He is the number 3 rated running back. He's the 3rd rated running back in the country by most services. Really good player. His highlight film is like 16 minutes long. So that tells you how good he is when he's got that many highlights. What do you like about Bo Jackson? And he's taking 3 officials, like I mentioned. He's taking Ohio State, Georgia, and Bama, which if you said, Kirk, these are the places he's going to, are you excited about him? I'd say yes, because he's not visiting Michigan State, Northwestern, and Rutgers. Like he's visiting like the 3 big dogs. So what are your thoughts on Bo Jackson?
Well, first of all, his parents really had some foresight to name him Bo Jackson to do it. Because I mean, because when you name a kid Bo Jackson, I don't care what it is. Like your immediate thought is, greatest professional athlete of all time, or one of the greatest professional athletes of all time, great running back, professional baseball player. So Bo Jackson. I mean, come on, that's. I've always dreamed of Bo Jackson playing at Ohio State, so I might get my wish at some point, but. No, he's fun to watch. I mean, he can do it all on the football field. He can run inside, he can run outside, he can block, he can catch the ball, he can play on both sides of the ball. I mean, this kid is a do-it-all kind of kid, and heavy lean to Ohio State. If we didn't get him, this would be. I mean, I guess I still have post-traumatic stress disorder from all the years at Alford, where this is a situation where you might not get a kid like this. I'm going to give Coach Locke the benefit of the doubt and feel that we've got this one on lockdown. You see how the punt, excuse the punt, but I use the word lock and lockdown with Coach Locke. Did you notice that, Kirk?
I mean, that was like 4D chess right there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you want to go over everyone's head with that. There's no way that anyone else would have picked up on that. So I'm glad you slowed it down. You broke it down for us because there's no way anybody else would have figured that out at all. So appreciate you for us plebeians that aren't as astute as you. We could have never figured that one out. So I appreciate you.
We have it on lockdown, and no, I think we're in good shape. But it's recruiting in 2024, so I never say never on any of this stuff. But Ohio State feels really good. Chip Kelly, Ryan Day, Coach Locke, and all—they all feel really good. we'll see. But I think Ohio State's in a great position to pick him up, and I think he's going to be a terrific running back. And I think he'll just do amazing things here at Ohio State. Definitely a premier guy. This is not just a guy. This is not just a filler. This is not somebody who's going to be the fourth or fifth guy on the team. This is a guy who's coming to be one of the bell cows. And these days and times, you're going to need several bell cows. I think the days of having just one bell cow back are over. Certainly at Ohio State, and I think you're going to need at least a couple, probably a pair and a spare. And he's definitely one of those guys that'll be immediately, as soon as he sets foot on campus, in that top three. And I think he'll have a big time impact. And I'm excited to see it.
I think all these running backs are thirsty right now because it's like you got Trey gone, you got Quinshon Judkins gone after this year. It's like, dude, like it's James Peoples and that's it. So when you're a running back and there's one guy left in the room, like that's about as good as it gets. I mean, you have Sam Williams-Dixon, who I think Bo Jackson is better than. So it'll be really interesting. And I love the clips. They show the clips of him playing defense, and like I never knew what this was because I always think it's like the dumbest thing of all time. But like they literally write the word seatbelt before this clip happens. Because I always wonder, like, I was like, are those guys putting like a sword away? Like they do this dumb thing all the time. Like, because like if there's like, I don't know if there's a dumber group of human beings on earth than defensive backs, because like there could be like the worst pass interference of all time and it doesn't get called and they got to go like, oh, like, oh no. And then like the thing they all do now is like they like do this like seatbelt thing. And I was like, are they putting like a staff away or like a bow, like their Napoleon Dynamite, like put their bow away? And it's like, no, they're putting their seatbelt on in their, in their 1975 F-150 with the seatbelt. And I'm like, it's so dumb. But again, defensive backs are just impossibly stupid sometimes because they'll interfere.
Whoa.
What?
That's a seatbelt? That's not like a sword or something.
It's a seatbelt. Like, did you not see what Bo Jackson said? It literally said, because of course, like, if there's ever an incompletion to a wide receiver, it has to be like some sort of a seatbelt or not here or like the slime finger where it's like they're smelling like the poo on their finger or whatever it is. And I'm just like, can you guys like not just make a play, not like a total moron? Like here's like a seatbelt. So like they get literally somebody's like I'm gonna put seatbelt and I'm like what seatbelt like. What 85-year-old man came up with, hey, this is like pretend like you're putting your seatbelt on. Like I tell my 6-year-old to do in the backseat, hey Kirk, you put your seatbelt on. He goes, okay, cool, bloop. And it's like, oh my God. But it's like so you get a deflection and it's like you gotta go like you always have to go like this, like that's the mandate, and then you have to go like this, like a seat, like there's like this, and then there's a seatbelt, and then there's a slime finger, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like, stop. Like, please, if any of these offensive linemen had souls anymore and they weren't a bunch of softies, a bunch of, like, crybabies, they'd go they'd go cut that kid's knee immediately on the next play. But we don't do that anymore. But it would be amazing if they did. You know what's funny is, like, I was going to ask you, you talked about best athlete, because Bo Jackson is best athlete. Was he a better athlete than Deion, in your opinion?
I think so. I mean, I just because he was so strong. I guess I would just give a sense for just being so overwhelmingly powerful. I mean, Deion was obviously we're talking about varying degrees of amazing, but I just think Bo, what set him apart was that ability to snap the bat with his bare hands over his knee and run over guys, and I don't know. He just seemed like. He just seemed like he could have. I felt like he could have been an Olympic, didn't he? No, he didn't try out for the Herschel Walker tried out for the Olympics in the bobsled. But I mean, Bo Jackson would have been a heck of a pusher on that bobsled team as well. So I think there's probably a number of things Bo Jackson could have done. Basically anything. I put him up there. He's definitely up there. I never did see Jim Thorpe in the Carlisle Indian Academy, but that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago.
I mean, like Jim Thorpe. I always just like, who's he playing? It's like Bo and Deion, I think, are the two best athletes ever, just because they both played in two pro sports. I mean, but Bo was drafted like at the top of both drafts. Like that's the difference. It's like Deion was like mid-round pick, but Bo was the fourth pick or no, excuse me, he was the 105th pick. So I'm sure, like, he would have been a first round pick if teams actually thought he was going to play baseball for a living. But he still went fourth round. Dion went way lower than that, but Dion actually hit 265 in the major leagues, which is incredible for a guy that only played part time. And then Bo obviously was the power. I mean, he had the power, but Dion's he stole 56 bags in 1 year. I mean, that's crazy. Now, obviously, we knew that he had the speed, but it's always remarkable to me that, like, if a guy can go pro in two sports and be that proficient, like, that's wild. I mean, Bo's just he just didn't have the longevity because of the hip, but those guys I think are the two best athletes that have ever lived, just because they were so good at both sports. But like Bo, if he didn't get robbed of his career basically from his injury, then who knows how good he would have been. But I like this with Bo because the Bo Jackson on the tape right here, because he plays a lot of defense. And in modern high school, like when you have a guy who's a superstar running back, he's usually not playing defense and linebacker and nickelback. But this kid, like, he's got jets. I think Ryan Day has made him a priority with Carlos Lockwood. Like, these are the kind of guys you have to get. These are the kind of guys that are Jim Tressel you're guaranteed to get, basically. But I like his film. I like when there's, like, really good players from the state of Ohio, and it's kind of a no-brainer, and we treat them like that. Like, we don't just, like, act like they're in the we don't just act like they're locks for Ohio State. But the kid's got, I mean, he's got wheels. I mean, here, this is a 95-yard touchdown run. And again, he's playing like real football. That looks like it might be St. Vincent St. Mary. It said Irish. I would guess was probably St. Vincent St. Mary. This looks like a scrimmage because they don't have the real jerseys on. But like I said, I like everything about this kid. I'm excited about him potentially jumping in the fold pretty quick here. And again, I love guys that play both ways. Guys that play defense, guys that play linebacker. Those are throwbacks. Those are tough kids. Those are selfless kids. Those are kids that'll do anything to help the team. And again, when a guy like this plays linebacker, he can have an impact as a freshman on special teams, which would be great. Because, will he be a starter day one as a freshman? No, he's not that good. But he's a guy that could chip in on special teams as he grows into being a guy that can carry the ball and being a starter, maybe mid-year one, year two, year three. So I like this guy's film. Like, again, this is a 15-minute highlight tape. So this is one of the longer ones that I've seen. So yeah, I'm excited. Nevada, we did miss on an offensive tackle. Avery Gatch went to Michigan. Are you surprised by that?
Avery Gatch?
I think it's Gatch. Gach or G.
Avery
Gatch.
Did we ever? Has that name ever been mentioned on our show? Did we ever mention that guy's name? I mean, I'm being serious.
We usually don't mention tackles because we don't want to go down to negative town. Because we know like our hit rate isn't overly strong.
Where's he from?
He's from Michigan. He went to Michigan. Offensive tackle. So I mean, but he was a top. I don't know if he's a top 100 player, but he was a guy that we offered and we went after. Obviously, we didn't get it, but I just I'm
not kidding, and I'm pretty good at remembering the names. I don't remember ever even seeing his name. So yay, good for Michigan. I saw Harmon, the defensive tackle from Michigan State, went to the Mighty Ducks, and that's a good get for Oregon. I mean, again, we talked about him yesterday. In my opinion, he's a guy, but he's a piece. He's an additional, additional depth piece for you to help you out during a long season, and maybe help you as guys get need rotation or out there or get injured or whatever it is. But he's not a difference maker. He's not a starter. But I think that's a good get for Oregon, and Oregon continue. I mean, Oregon's going to be a problem, man. I mean, Oregon kind of, I don't think people realize how good Oregon is. I think there's a prevailing narrative that goes to the Ohio State fan base about Oregon being soft and we pushed them around because of what happened in 2015. And it's like, guys, we have a lot more recent data for that where they came in and pushed us around in our stadium. So I don't think there's anything soft about that program. I think they're really good. No. And I think they're going to be formidable, and they're going to be a great addition to the Big Ten. They are a great addition to the Big Ten, and they're going to be a handful this year, at least a couple of times when we play them.
Yeah, I mean, they're just a team that they get a lot of the soft stuff because of they wear lime green jerseys and they, in the past under Helfrich, not so much under Chip, but under Helfrich, they were soft. I mean, I watched those guys and they had great players on their D line, but they didn't play hard and they were soft. They had Eric Armstead, who's $100 million defensive tackle, DeForest Buckner, 100. They had 200 million D tackles, and we ran through those guys like butter because they didn't play hard. I mean, they were the laziest two guys I've ever seen, and they were wicked talented. Like they're both 6'7". I mean, I was like, these guys are really big and strong and athletic, and when they would go, they were amazing. And the problem is they just at Oregon, they were just coasting to the NFL draft, I believe, because they weren't the guys that they turned into in the league. But DeForest Buckner is one of the best defensive tackles in the league. But I was live in color at that 2021 game, and they beat the tar out of us. And I mean, we looked like Oklahoma, and I was really worried about everything. And that's when, again, famously, Ryan knew the defense was in mega trouble, and that's when he went out and reached out to Will Muschamp. He reached out to Mark D'Antonio. I mean, it was DEFCON 5 at that point. He knew that that was the Titanic just absolutely smoked the iceberg. The water's coming in the thing. And Ryan Day saying, is there any way we can fix this before the wheels fall off? And the wheels ended up falling off at Michigan. And then, by the grace of God, we had enough offense to beat the Utah Utes because we easily could have lost to them if CJ Stroud didn't throw for 8,000 yards and Marvin and Emeka and Jackson Smith and Jigba break every receiving record ever at the Rose Bowl. So I don't take Oregon. I think Oregon's the second best team in the Big Ten behind us. And I don't even think it's close. I mean, people could say Michigan, and Michigan has very, very talented pieces this year coming back. But as a team, they're way down. Will Johnson is excellent. Their defensive tackles are excellent. Colson Loveland is excellent. Their one middle linebacker is real good. But outside of that, man, it ain't anywhere near like they were last year when they had that whole line and they had Corum and J.J. McCarthy and all those guys. They had legit first-round guys, and they had the best offensive line in football. Those guys, I mean, they're replacing their quarterback, their running back, and 5 starting offensive linemen, and both receivers. I mean, their entire offense, minus Colson Loveland, is brand new. So, growing pains, and none of those guys have beaten Michigan that are going to be playing on the game this year. So they're not going to have that familiarity that this year's line had that when they all played together the year prior. So I think that's going to be a big difference. I'm excited about it. We got some super chats pouring in. Nevada will take a couple of these. Schulf Steel Workshop, appreciate you, man. Thanks for the deuce. What rule change in college football would you like to see? That is a great question. Nevada, I'll let you go first. Is there a rule change? I don't know if that means in overall college football. I don't know if that means in like a game day rule type thing. But what are your thoughts? What rule change in college football would you like to see?
Targeting. I'd like to see that taken out or at least reevaluated about how they apply that, because I think it's the most misapplied rule in all of sports. And it's the one that could potentially have the biggest impact on games where you're taking guys out of the game. So the targeting rule, I would want to start from the very beginning, tear that thing apart and change it, because I think if you have a bad replay official, a bad interpretation of the rule, you can see some just crazy outcomes on that thing, as we as Ohio State fan have experienced time in and time again. And then you have a play like the Marvin Harrison play where against Georgia, where he gets smoked in the head, the exact hits they're trying to take out of the game, they throw the flag, and then they pick up the flag. So, yeah, targeting for me, that's the one, got to go. If I'm Zarv of college football, that goes day one.
Well, I think that's fantastic. I mean, honestly, I think that the thing I was thinking, and again, this is something people don't think of, I would make officials full-time. That'd be their jobs, as opposed to we get part-time guys that are math teachers and lawyers and whatever else. And I think the officiating has been terrible in college football recently, even with replay. And again, the Marvin Harrison targeting was one of the worst calls I've ever seen in college football. I mean, especially when you could hear the plastic crown of the Georgia player's head hit Marvin right in the head. And then Marvin is completely blank, punch drunk from getting hit. and they still don't eject him. And again, I think that like what you picked was absolutely perfect. I think that's probably the best rule that I would love to overturn, reevaluate is targeting, because you see kids get ejected from games from plays that frankly don't warrant an ejection. Again, is every level of football safer than it's ever been? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, targeting is taking the head hunting out. It's taken a lot of the violence out of it. But, like I think that, sometimes when you throw a guy out or you don't throw a guy out, like in the Georgia case, it's cataclysmic. And then when you have a kid get suspended for the next week as well, or the first half, or whatever the rule is, like over a blown call, I think it's terrible. It really is. The targeting rule is great. I just was trying to think if there's some overarching rule in college football that I would like to be like the NFL. God, I don't know. I mean, there was a part of me that wondered if it would make sense for guys that don't get drafted to be able to come back to college, like Mayan Williams, like some of these. And again, this year, it's funny. One of the things that's, I think, amazing about NIL is the number of kids that are early out kids to the NFL is going backwards, it's going down. It was rising year over year. More and more kids are jumping and not get, and again, there's nothing more tragic than when these kids, they leave early and then they don't get drafted and then they're stuck in basically purgatory. Like Mayan Williams is in purgatory. He's living in hell right now because he doesn't know if he should go trying to get a job. He should try to work out. He should, hope for a phone call. He should try, get ready for Canada, maybe try out for the XL. I mean, it's just like, dude, like it sucks. Like when you're not signed and you're a free agent, and especially mine, because mine might never sign. That's the hard part. It's not like he's a guy that got cut from an NFL team. Like no NFL team even called him. He might go to a rookie minicamp, but I don't even know if he's healthy enough to. And that's the thing where it'd be nice if a kid like Mayan could have come back to Ohio State or even hit the portal and gone elsewhere. I think that that's something that, these guys should be allowed to explore the NFL a little bit. But I think that there has to be some sort of a rule where you can only do that once. And once you do it once, you can't like do it, to every single year. Cause like, I don't want like kids that are redshirt sophomores that have no business going to the NFL declaring and bouncing back and declaring and bouncing back. Cause that's stupid. But, there's these kids that are like mine that make horrific mistakes, like declaring early. And then they don't get picked. And it's like, they're just stuck at like, Lifetime Fitness working out and hoping for a call. Or as opposed to him, if mine would have talked to me, I said, dude, like your leg is dead. You had surgery, stay at Ohio State for your rehab, pray to God you can get healthy and chip in and do something this year. Even if you're the number 4 running back this year, it's better than not being on a team than just being on the street. Because I hate when these kids make those decisions. They make these brass decisions. Sometimes these kids, they get advice from the worst human beings in the world. They're scumbags. And they tell these kids, oh, you got to go to the league. Oh, you got to keep up with the Joneses. And then there's sometimes this overwhelming arch with kids where they feel like, man, this will be year 5 and all my homies are gone because everybody from my recruiting class is already in the league or whatever. And sometimes these kids, it's like they want to keep up with the Joneses or they don't want to be the old head left in the building or whatever. And they leave. And then it's like they don't get picked. And I'm like, oh my God, Mayan. Like, I mean, dude, he could have been here rehabbing, getting strong, getting in shape, and then at least giving it a real go next year for the combine. But instead, he had a horrific surgery. You had a big surgery, no running. If you're a running back, you can't run your 40 unless your film is just outstanding. You have no chance. So, he's a guy that, with being injured, and like I said, I don't even know if he can play right now. So he's not going to get invited to rookie minicamp. In the summer, when you're a rookie, especially as a kid who didn't get drafted or you're like a fringe of the roster guy, the summer is so impossibly critical because a lot of these kids are practicing like this weekend and next weekend already. Like guys like Tommy Eichenberg, again, I don't know when rookie minicamp is for everybody, but the week after the draft, you're in your team's helmet and jersey and you're practicing. Like you start practice like that quick. So that's way different from college where, after spring football, you put the helmets away and you're done till August. Here, when you get drafted and you're in the league, man, you're at your facility and at minicamp and away you go. Like these guys practice all summer. That's like a stark difference between college football and the NFL. So, but a real change that I would do now that I think about it is, I think that having some summer practices without pads, and just helmets would be really good. I think that that's something that Ohio spring football should do. If they're not going to put pads on, at least let the guys get some skill work in, put the helmets in, learn the plays. I think that having the coaches out there non-contact and having OTAs, like an OTA is an organized team activity. That's what you do in the NFL. In the summer, you practice all summer, but you're just not in pads. But you're in a helmet, you're running plays against the defense, you learn everything. I mean, it's actually really beneficial because then when it comes time to put the pads on in August, like you already know the playbook, that's all sound. And it's so beneficial. So I think that they should have mini camps and OTAs style practices in the summer for these kids. I think that'd be a big benefit for a lot of these kids. So Gio did it. Thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my man. Looks like we are in a good position to land Jordan Davison. Would we still take Bo Jackson? I think there's a good chance we take both, if not 3 running backs. If we land both, would they end running back recruiting for 2025? I mean, I think that those 2 would be amazing, but do you try to take 3? I mean, 3 is kind of crazy at running back because you only have so many guys in the room. But, if we got Jordan Davison and Bo Jackson, I'd be thrilled. I think that'd be a fantastic haul for Carlos Lachlan. Nevada, your thoughts? Gio did it, says, looks like we're in a good position to land Jordan Davison, which I totally agree with you. He's a stud. Would you take him and Bo Jackson, and would that end running back recruiting for you, or would you try to find a 3rd guy?
Well, I've heard those guys are both locks, as in Lachlan. But yeah, I think that they're.
Kill me now.
I mean, I think they're about as close to being in as you can be in 2024 without being in the boat. So yeah, now will we go after a 3rd guy? Heard rumors about that, but not sure if they would do it or not. But I think we're getting both those guys, and I think Ohio State believes that they're getting both those guys, and that would be that. I don't think it's a matter of if, just a matter of when. But I think those guys are in the boat.
Yeah, this is Jordan Davidson's film right here, so I clicked that on for you. But yeah, I think those guys are both in the. I think it's just hard when you got to take that 3rd running back, man. It's like, does that scare kids? Does it spook them when all of a sudden you've got a 3rd guy in there, and it's like, how are you going to take 3 running backs? It's like it's almost like taking 2 quarterbacks. Like when you take that 2nd quarterback, man, it's like that first guy. He's like, well, it's like when we took Miller from Arizona, and then we took CJ Stroud as like at the very end of the cycle. We take CJ, and like CJ ends up being the 2nd pick of the draft, and Miller transfers to Florida, and he's off in the ether and never really did anything there, and he's in the workforce now. So you take that extra guy, like taking 2 running backs. I think that you could do that with a kid, especially as depleted as this room is, because when you lose 2, you better take at least 2 or 3 in the portal era. Because James Peoples is kind of it, Sam Williams-Dixon, but you're losing, your top 2 guys for sure after this year, because Quinshot's going to go to the league. So I think, if you could take 3, that'd be crazy. But I just think it's a tough position to take more than 2 at, in my opinion. I don't know how many times we've taken a 3rd, unless you list him as an athlete and he has a real chance to play DB. But again, I think it'd be interesting to see if we could do that. Buckeye Blitz, thank you for the 5. Hope you're good, my friend. Will we see the Tush push with Will Howard this year? That has to be unstoppable at his size and a way to finally convert 3rd in short situations. Nevada OH. That'd be interesting. I mean, obviously Philly did that, and it was crazy how proficient they were with it. But what are your thoughts, Nevada? Would you think you'd ever install something like that, like an under center kind of quarterback super sneak where they condense everything and they line everything up in like a rugby formation and they convert every 4th and 1 and 2, or is that something you wouldn't be interested in?
I'm not interested in plays that work like almost 100% of the time and take the drama out of it. I like the drama of football. So for me, like, you can have your newfangled plays that work there, Mr. Barton, and I'm going to go back to my fretting about every time on 4th and 1 that we're going to get stopped because Fry's daughter is pointing to the hole and saying, my daddy's going to run right there. And then like 9 guys jump into that hole and smash our guy in the backfield. But no, look, Chip Kelly. When you've got a quarterback like Will Howard, do I think they'll push him? I think they will. I think Chip's always been a proponent of do it the easiest way. You've got a horse. I think the chances of him getting hurt on that play are exceedingly slim. And so that would not shock me at all to see Ohio State go to some sort of modified version of that. I think most teams are going to it right now, and I would expect Ohio State will utilize that in 2024 until the play's banned, because eventually that play is going to be banned. But until it is, use it. Take the drama out of it and just use it. Make it easy.
Why do you think it's going to be banned? Just because it's too proficient, or guys get hurt, or what's your thought on that?
I don't think it's football. I think it's something else. You know what I'm saying? Because I've said this to you before, and I know you laugh at this, but this is why not, right? Why not get like a midget and just take him and then have two big old guys there in the back, just launch your midget over the line and throw him, there whenever you needed to get around the goal line and score. It's kind of the same theory of doing this thing with the bush push, and I mean, if I was a midget, if I was Wee Man or something like that, and some NFL teams like, hey, we'll pay you, $2 million a year, and you're going to get launched over the line. And I mean, he does that stuff on Jackass where he goes like in a giant shopping cart in a diaper and goes flying down a hill and hits the thing and smashes himself up and kills himself. Like, he'd get thrown over the line in terms of doing it. I'm just why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you just launch a midget over the line in the air, like 10 feet in the air, and have him do a little barrel roll and land in the end zone every time?
Are you done?
I'm done.
I'm like, when you're saying all this, like, I'm imagining like hiring, like getting like DeWand to like,
yeah,
like DeWand's like one of the giant orc like ogres from like Lord of the Rings, and he like throw the midget into Helm's Deep, like, and he just detonates them, like he's like
if they had you like a guy, if they had like you as strong as you are,
you need like DeWand. You need like a 6'8" guy, like a big giant 6'8" guy throwing like a 60-pound midget in the air.
Yeah,
and he's and you just like heave ho him over the line, and he just goes flying. Yeah. I honestly don't know how you defend that. Honestly,
you'd have to launch your own. You'd launch your own midget.
You'd have to counter attack with another midget,
like a Scud missile midget, and your midgets would meet in midair over the thing, and you try to take them down. That'd be the only way you can do it. Yeah.
Oh my God, this is
highest midget wins. It's like low man wins, highest midget wins.
Like, I mean, DeWand could literally, like, I mean, you could hike him the ball. DeWand could pick him up, and he could just like run to the line and just slam dunk him over the thing for a yard. Like, I don't know how you defend that, honestly. I really don't.
Like some of those acrobats, have you seen like the stuff on like any of the
Cirque du
Soleil shows?
Oh,
yeah, where they just launch those guys. Like, why not just launch some Russian acrobat like 37 feet in the air, or some little Chinese tumbler, and just throw her over the thing, throw her to the goal? I mean, come on. That's what we're doing with the bush push. I mean, there's no difference.
Well, I mean, like, I think that, like, the thing what they run and, like, like the cheerleaders, like, they make their hand like a basket and, like, fling the dude up in the air. That might be the deal. You'd have to have, like, Kevlar gloves because you'd probably have to deal with a spike stepping on your hand. But, hey, I think we might be onto something by this point.
You don't have to wear spikes. You just wear little gym shorts up there. You know what I'm saying?
God. I'm dying right now. Garrett Verrell, thanks for the deuce. Appreciate you, my man. If you have a question, toss that in the chat. As always, Jeremy Moreland, what's up, brother? Hope you're doing good. Thank you for being ultra member. Thank you for the 5. I would change it to where a corner or safety could lay out a receiver the second the ball touches his hands, like the Dumas hit. Like, yeah, that was like the greatest hit of all times on YouTube. Michael Dumas killed the guy from Auburn and like flexed over him. Yeah, it is interesting.
Zach Dumas.
So Zach Dumas, yes, exactly. Who did I say?
Michael.
I know there was a Dumas that played for the Phoenix Suns. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. So it's probably not him.
Yeah, no, I was at that game, and we were all excited, and then also we just got our butts kicked after that. But boy, for that one moment, that was awesome.
Yeah, it really was. It was kind of like Ted running back the opening kick versus Florida. That moment in time was amazing. After that,
Yeah, that
it was
was.
pure hell and it sucked.
Yeah.
All right, so Garrett, I found your question. Shout out to Kim, the wrench, the queen of the wrench. She found it for me. So I'm gonna put it up on the screen, kind of rig it up. Thank you, Kimbo. Um, Nevada Garrett asks, he wanted to ask, it feels like you're taking off one great player in the back seven of the D. Downs, Hancock, Styles, Simon, Hicks, Ransom, Igbinosin, Burke. Which three of those guys do you think plays the most? So he's counting Sonny Styles and he's counting Cody Simon in the back seven, CJ Hicks. When you say which three play the most, I mean, I'll go first about this because I have it on my screen and I know you're on your phone. Obviously, Caleb Downs for sure. Cody for me, it's Caleb Downs, Cody Simon, and then I'm gonna say I'll say Denzel Burke, even though he's been hurt. I wanted to say Lathan Ransom, but he's been hurt a lot too. What three guys do you think play the most about him?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd probably go with, and this is probably wrong, but I definitely would go with Cody for sure, and I mean going with Downs is obviously chalky. That's pretty easy, but I'm gonna just to be different. I'm gonna go with Davison, just because I just think Davison. See, Davison, he doesn't do the seatbelt thing. He does the sword. Whenever he makes a good defensive play, he takes the sword and puts it into his belt like he's slaying a dragon. Did you know that?
It's so bad. I hate it. I mean, I really do. It's like why can't we just like make a play? We have to like be stupid every single time. But this kind of is what it is, you know. Same like with our receivers. It's like our guys all wear purses. Like ever since our guys started wearing purses through the skull session, we lose every year to Michigan. Ever since they started wearing purses, it's like they all wear purses. And I'm like, oh god, and it's like I'm like, why are guys wearing purses? Because they have to show that they have Louis Vuitton bags. There's no other way that you guys would ever know that they have Louis Vuitton bags unless they wear purses, like my wife, to the skull session. And they walk in the building. Huh?
Does she have Louis Vuitton? Does she have Louis Vuitton?
I think she does. Yeah, she's got at least one. Like you got one. It's like one of those things where you buy one and you're just like, this is the dumbest thing ever for how expensive it is. Like, why? So then never again. So,
Yeah.
but it's interesting because our guys love their Louis Vuitton purses. It's insane. So anyways, Dick Buck has projected 1 and 2 deep on the O line. And where are we weak at? Well, I think that the first line is super simple right now at this point. I think it's Josh Simmons at left tackle, Donnie Jackson left guard, Seth McLaughlin at center, Carson Hinsman at right guard, Josh Fryer at right tackle. The second line, I'll say George Fitzpatrick at left tackle. I'll say Austin Sierraveld at left guard. I'll say, see, it's tough because Carson Hinsman is probably the second center. So I guess you could say Josh Padilla or Carson Hinsman. But yeah, if something happens to Seth McLaughlin, I think Carson Hinsman's the next center in. The backup right guard is Luke Montgomery, and the backup right tackle would be Tigra or Zen Mikulski. So I think that with Enoch hitting the portal, getting processed out of here, I think that that it's pretty clear what the pecking order is. I think that the clear top 6 to 7, I'd say that the top 7 guys on our offensive line are the 5 starters. So I named Josh Simmons, Donnie Jackson, Seth McLaughlin, Carson at right guard, and then Fryer at right tackle. And I think that the top interior backup is Luke Montgomery, and I think the top tackle backup is clearly George Fitzpatrick. So it's been told what he is. It doesn't surprise me. Watch the spring game. And again, the spring game is usually completely worthless, but you can kind of tell based on the movement skills of guys and where guys are at the rotation, like who's looking good, who's kind of favorable. And again, I know it's just one innocuous scrimmage, but you can tell when guys are getting into the game who's at what position in the pecking order. So, I think that's pretty clear. Nevada, do you have any differentiation from what I said?
No, I agree with you, and I think that your thing that what people have to remember is, like you said, they don't go first team, second team. They go if a tackle goes down, who goes in, and as you mentioned, that'd be George. If the guard goes down, who goes in? That'd be Luke. If the center goes down, who goes in? That'd be Carson. And that's the way I think you got to approach the line. But yeah, no, I think not a surprise that the old All American linebacker or lineman rather nailed the offensive line question. So A+ for you there, Kirk.
Thanks. So I just, yeah, like I said, like, in general, like, again, when people are dumb, and again, I'm really glad you guys like to watch the show because some of the podcasts and the people that cover this team are they're so impossibly dumb when it comes to deciphering like lineups and offensive line. And oh my God, the second team offensive line looked terrible. Oh my God, how are we ever going to, and I'm like, dude, like those guys never play that season ever. And usually they get better. So like when some guy, like when Kane Curry's just, ritually sacrificing one of our backup tackles, like I never care. Because as long as he's not doing it to Fryer or Josh Simmons, like we'll survive. And again, 3 years ago, Jack Sawyer was dog walking Paris Johnson, dog walking him in practice and DeWand. And so, and those guys are NFL guys. Paris was a 6th pick in the draft. DeWand, obviously is going to be a 10-year starter in the NFL. And, so those guys actually got better. So things can happen. And that's why they have coaches, strength coaches, and they have 3 different line coaches now because they got Tim Drevno in the building. So it's on those guys to make these guys good. And again, we've got a lot of returning experience. I mean, I actually love Carson Hinsman at right guard because you literally have 5 guys that all started 12 games last year in your starting lineup between Josh Simmons and Donnie Jackson, McLaughlin. You don't have Luke Montgomery as your right guard who hasn't started a game yet. Again, it's nothing against Luke, but when Luke gets out there, like he's going to get worked because he's never played in a college football game. And when he played last year, he was terrible. I mean, they put him in as the Bison and he got rocked versus Penn State. He gave up a really bad sack. Was lazy in pass pro. And again, I'm not being critical of the kid, but like this is the year when you're winning the national championship and the margin for error is going to be real thin. So, Luke learning on the job doesn't bode well for us. Now, should we yank the starters early and get guys like Luke in there? I'd be fine with rotating Luke in with Carson and let the competition go into the season. Because again, the benefit to this season is we open with Akron. And Akron's probably the worst team in 1A football. They're 130th in the country. Then we play Western Michigan. So if I'm Justin Fry and I'm any of these guys, if you name Carson Hinsman starting right guard, I'm saying, yeah, Luke's coming in the 3rd series. So, Carson, you get the first 2, Luke, you get the next 2. And at halftime, we're going to figure out who's playing better. And then that guy's going to open the second half or whatever. Because when you're playing Akron, you can do that. You can't do that against Penn State or Michigan or Notre Dame. Or we opened against Notre Dame, a couple years ago. Like, that's a whole different ball of wax. So, I don't think that job's won. I think the other 4 spots are done. But I think that the guard thing's going to be. And again, with the portal being closed, there isn't a single guy in the portal that could start at Ohio State's offensive line. There's not a single guard. There's not a single tackle. So Tony Baselli did not jump into the portal and come save our bacon. So we're going to, again, that's why they call Justin Fry coach and they call Chip Kelly coordinator and Tim Drevno quality control guy and Mike Cellini GA, because these are your guys and it's time to roll. And again, these guys have plenty of talent to win and to win a national title. Go look at that 14 team. Go look at the 02 team. Go look at those guys. Go see where those guys got drafted and go tell me, oh my God, how did we ever win with, Adrian Clark, who's a 6th-round pick, and Shane Olivier was a 7th-round pick, and Bryce Bishop, undrafted, Stepanovich, 3rd-rounder. I think Robbie Sims went 3rd or 4th round. There wasn't like an Orlando Pace 1st-round juggernaut at left tackle. Those were good, very good players. Beat the Miami Hurricanes, won a national championship. And then the 14 team was worse. I mean, Taylor obviously was a 1st-rounder. Billy, the thing about that team is that a lot of those guys progressed later on in their careers, but when they were young, they weren't great. And Billy Price was not great his first year. He'd be the first to admit it. Elfline was good that year, but he wasn't the Remington winner like he was 2 years later. Jacoby, very, very good player, not an NFL guy. Darrell Baldwin, very, very good player, not an NFL guy. So again, you got to coach them up. And the thing that'll benefit them the most is our scheme is going to be outstanding this year. And it'll be a breath of fresh air in our running game, I'm telling you. Sean Rollins, thank you for the 5. Thank you for being an Ultra member as well. Elijah and I are listening from Worcester, Ohio. Hello, Elijah. I hope you guys are having a great Friday night. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having the show every single day. Stay blessed, Spartan family, Nevada, and the Wrench Bros. Appreciate you, Sean. I hope you guys are having fun up in Worcester. You better hit Koisha House. You better bring cash, because I found out the hard way that it is a cash-only spot, but it is some of the best pizza in the world right in Worcester, downtown Worcester. And thank God, like a lot of those places, they have ATMs. Like, that is a great gig to have. Nevada, how are you doing? Nevada, you got a boogie. I'll clean the rest of this up. Any final thoughts, Nevada?
No, just appreciate everybody. Sorry, I've got a kid hockey engagement that I got to go to. And appreciate you guys. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. And you're in good hands with Burke Carton. Take it from here, Burke.
Gotcha, brother. All right. Speedman 606. Thank you for the 10. Appreciate you, my man. Hey, man, from Galpless. I love Galpless. That is Southern Ohio at its finest. It's absolutely awesome. Got my grandson, Leo. Hello, Leo, with me watching his first scoop. I hope that he, I don't know how old he is. If he's a youngster, I hope that he is not too fussy and he's having a good time. Trying to raise him right on the Buckeyes. That is, 7. Okay, perfect. And would you mind sending him a shout out? I greatly appreciate it. Well, Leo, I hope you become a great Buckeye. I hope you become an All-American football player. That'd be awesome. You have a great grandfather who is raising you right. So I hope you are enjoying the show. Thank you for tuning in from Southern Ohio, the greatest place on earth. I appreciate you so much. We're going to get down to the river, down to Portsmouth soon. So I'd love to see you down there. But I hope you guys are having a great Friday. So hello to you, Leo. Enjoy your night and always do what your mom tells you to do. And if you don't, then your mom can beat you, because my wife beats me. Just kidding. I love you, Kim. Super Nerd, thank you for the 5. Would Urban Meyer let his players wear purses? Ooh, boy. Or would he go full Tywin Lannister mode on them? I don't know. I mean, that's like the new fashion thing where all these men wear purses, which is weird. And again, I'm not hip to the game. You guys see my fashion taste. I wear black hoodies every day. I wear black clothes every day, like The Undertaker, like Johnny Cash. So I'm not in the purse game. I don't understand the purse game. I don't want to understand the purse game, but it is weird. And we haven't beaten Michigan since they started wearing purses. So hopefully we get away from wearing purses. But again, it's just another way for these guys to show off their purses, which is great. Again, it is what it is. It's the fashion. I don't want to know what fashion is anymore at this point. But I think Urban, he'd probably be very measured in his words. He'd probably, with Urban, everything is a sliding scale based upon how good you are. And you guys know that. You guys saw the Gators documentary. You saw how he was at Ohio State. Like, if you're Percy Harvin, Percy could wear high heels, a purse, a bright pink, thong underwear and a hat, and Urban would be fine with it. Like, he wouldn't care. It's just a sliding scale based upon who you are. So he'd be fine with it if you're a dog. Now, if you're not a dog, might not be worried a person. I mean, if you're not a dog, he probably won't let you walk on the skull session anyways. But it is a pet peeve. I mean, a lot of you guys don't like the dancing pregame, which I always thought was like terrible. And then the purse thing just drives me crazy, but it's all good. But I appreciate you guys. We can I think we can wrap this thing up. Another good show. So yeah, we can wrap this thing up. I hope you guys had a great time tonight. I appreciate you guys as always. Thank you for joining us a little bit early tonight, just because Nevada had an engagement, so we wanted to get all that locked in, and we don't want to skip. Like, that's the big thing, is we try not to skip. I'm sure in the future there'll be nights that we do skip just because life happens. But again, we love kicking it with you guys. We're very thankful for you guys and all you guys do, and for the community. And I know a lot of you guys look forward to kicking it for an hour every night with us and kind of shooting the breeze in the chat. So we appreciate all you guys do for this channel. It was another great show, a huge show because you guys made it one. So thank you for that. It was great having you. With that being said, if you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate you guys so very much for everything you do on this channel. Shout out to my Southern Ohio boys, Galpless in the building. I saw that. Shout out to everyone down in Florida, Texas, California, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, PA, even up in Michigan. We've got a lot of Buckeyes up in Michigan that watch. So we appreciate all of you guys for fighting the good fight up there. As always, shout out who you guys are watching with. Shout out where you guys are watching from. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. We're going to wrap this thing up. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. We will see you guys at probably 7 tomorrow. If not, we make it a little early. There's a big UFC fight tomorrow. So we'll be ready to rock. With that being said, thank you guys for everything you guys do. Go Bucks.